The story of the merchant and the Ifrit. It has reached me, O happy king of sound judgment, that there was a merchant among the merchants who had great wealth, property, crops, and animals. He traveled frequently to different countries. One day, he set out on a journey to a certain country, carrying with him a large amount of provisions of dates and other things. While he was on a certain road, he stopped under a tree. To rest, he took some dates from his bag and ate them. He had stones next to him, and he was throwing the stones away as he ate. Suddenly, a huge, tall demon appeared to him, holding a drawn sword. He approached the merchant and said, "Get up so I can kill you, just as you killed my son." The merchant asked, "How did I kill your son?" The Ifrit said to him, "When you ate the dates and threw away their pits, the pit fell into my son's eye, and he died immediately." The merchant said, "Indeed, we belong to God, and to him we shall return. There is no power nor strength save in God, the Most High, the Almighty. If I killed your son unintentionally, then forgive me." The Ifrit said, "You must be killed just as you killed my son." The merchant knew he was bound to be killed, so he said to him, "O Ifrit, give me a year to bid farewell to my family and make my will, then I will return to you." The Ifrit said, "I will give you a year. When the year is over, you will return to this place. If you do not return, I will come and kill you wherever you are." The merchant swore an oath to him and took a pledge from him. He returned to his country, took care of his affairs, and made recommendations to his family. A year passed, and then he set out again, arriving at the same place on the appointed day. He sat there awaiting death. While he was waiting, an old man approached him, leading a gazelle tied to a chain. He greeted him and said, "Brother, what's your story?" The merchant told him his story with the Ifrit. The old man was amazed, sat down beside him and said, "By God, I will not leave until I see what happens to you." Then another old man came with 2 black dogs tied with a gold chain. He asked about the story, so the merchant told him, and they sat with him to watch. Then a third old man came with a blue mule. He asked about the story, so the merchant told him, and he sat with them. And suddenly, the Ifrit emerged from the middle of the earth with a sword in his hand and said to the merchant, "Rise up so I can kill you as you killed my son." The first sheikh approached him and said, "O Ifrit, I ask you to give me a third of this man's blood because of my strange story with this gazelle. If you like my story, then forgive him a third of his blood." The Ifrit said, "Tell me the story." The first sheikh said, "Know, O Ifrit, that this gazelle you see with me is my wife. She was my cousin. I married her when I was young, and I lived with her for about 30 years. I was not blessed with a child from her. So I took a concubine, and I was blessed with a child from her who was like the full moon. He grew little by little until he was 15 years old. A journey occurred to me to some city, and I traveled with a large merchant. This cousin of mine had learned magic and divination. She bewitched that boy into a calf, and the slave girl bewitched his mother into a cow, and she handed them over to the shepherd. Then I came back after a long period of travel and asked about my son and his mother. She said to me, "Your maidservant has died, and your son has run away, and I don't know where he went." So I sat there, God. A few days later, I saw my son in a dream, and he said to me, "Father, your wife has bewitched me and my mother. I have been bewitched in the form of a calf, and my mother in the form of a cow." So I went to the shepherd in the morning and asked him for the calf and the cow. I took them home and brought a sorceress who broke the spell on them, and they returned to their human forms. As for my wife, I bewitched her into a gazelle, and she is with me, as you can see." The Ifrit said, "I have given him a third of his blood." The second sheikh said, "O Ifrit, these two dogs you see with me are my half-brothers, and I am the oldest of them. Our father had inherited a great deal of wealth, which we divided among us. Each of us worked in trade. I opened a shop and worked, and God blessed my livelihood. As for my two brothers, they sold what they had and traveled. They returned after years, penniless. I welcomed them, treated them with honor, and gave them some of my money. I said to them, 'Let's go out to trade together.' So we set out to sea and boarded a ship with a large amount of money. After we had sailed for a while, their attitude turned against me. They wanted to kill me out of covetousness for my money. Then they threw me into the sea thinking they had been saved from me. But fate saved me. I clung to a plank from the ship, and the sea swept me to an island. There, I found a jinn. I told her what had happened. She took pity on me and took me to her house. Then she bewitched my brothers into two black dogs and said to me, 'Take them with you and go wherever you want.' And here I am, every year coming to this island. The place is on a visit, and I will carry my brothers in this image as a punishment for them." Then the Ifrit said, "I have given him the second third of his blood." The third sheikh said, "O Ifrit, you know that I was a merchant, and I had a wife whom I loved dearly, and I treated her with honor, and she lived with me in luxury. However, she used to betray me while I was away. When I learned of this, I was deeply saddened. But when she realized that I knew, she bewitched me into a beast, a bull, and she made me plow in the pen like cattle, and she laughed at me. Days and months passed in this state, until a slave girl who worked for us saw me. She was skilled in magic. She summoned one of her acquaintances, one of the most prominent magicians, who broke my spell, and I returned to my former form. Then we bewitched my wife as punishment for what she had done, and she became, 'This is the blue mule you see, and I will carry it with me as a fitting reward.' Do you think this story is any less important than the merchant's story?" The Ifrit said, "Rather, it is more amazing, and I have given him the rest of his blood." Thus, the merchant was saved by virtue of these three amazing stories. He thanked them and continued on his way.